Jay here for Stretford Paddock. That's Joe Smith. Chelsea 1, Manchester United 0. The Reds losing again in the Premier League. The only saving grace tonight was that Spurs lost as well, so we're still 16th, which isn't anything to shout about at all. I think this is the longest we've gone without a win in the top flight since 1990. It's now, I think, is it 8 games? I mean, we've not beaten a team since, I think, Leicester in March. The defeats just keep racking up. The lack of wins keep racking up. The lack of goals keep racking up. We know it is all about the Europa League, but you can't keep losing football matches in the Premier League. You can't keep doing what Manchester United are doing. And Joe, that second half in particular, because the first half, 0-0, okay, not exactly a football feast, but United had a goal disallowed. It was relatively even, I think. Chelsea had a couple of decent chances. It wasn't like at the end of that first half I was sort of screaming, going, oh, what are United doing? But that second half, on the whole, from Manchester United, was particularly abysmal. Yeah. It was just, we couldn't play out from the back. We couldn't clear our lines. We couldn't string 5 passes or 3 passes together. Yeah. I think we had, was it 1 shot from Ahmad? Other than that, we didn't offer anything going forward. I mean, where'd you start?
It was pathetic. It was absolutely pathetic again. And we saw Amorim pick up pretty much his first choice 11, didn't he? I think other than maybe Garnacho and Ugarte, that was almost the team I expect to see on Wednesday. And I don't know if it backfired. We won't know that. We'll never know that. Even if we lose to Tottenham, we won't know necessarily why we lost to Tottenham. But I don't think they'll have gained any confidence whatsoever from this is the team for Wednesday, and we get one extra game together. We can build a little bit of rapport. We can build a bit of momentum. That was shocking, and those players won't feel any more excited for Wednesday now than they did before the game. They'll probably feel worse. And the only saving grace for us is that, you know, this is a Chelsea side that's 11 points or 10 points higher up in the league table, or 11, I think it is actually, than we are, and 12 points higher up the league, 12 places higher up the table than Tottenham are. You know, we've got to hope that this performance tonight is nothing like the one on Wednesday with the same players. It was just awful. It didn't. I know we did have shots on target, and it felt like a game where United didn't have a shot. We were so lacking any threat whatsoever. We had a goal disallowed, and I think people sort of sometimes wrongly kind of pretend that a goal disallowed, sort of it all never happened because the goal itself was disallowed. I'll give us a bit of credit. We did create that chance and put it away. It just happened to be offside. But other than that, it was just non-existent. We were non-existent as a force going forward. And like you said, as the game went on and our, you know, lack of willingness to put our bodies on the line increased. You could tell that there was, you know, 50-50s were not going to go in properly, and it just became farcical. By the end, there was a point in the 85th minute where I sort of noticed that we hadn't played the ball out of our half in, I didn't know how long, but for a while. It was then another 10 minutes before we played a pass in their half. What's that? Like, we'd literally just completely penned in our own half for 10 minutes on end without making a single pass in theirs. It's just terrible. And those players are going to walk out on Wednesday against another Premier League opposition who, at least they got to rest most of their best players tonight, and they can pretend that had they played them, they would have beaten Villa or put up a fight. We can't even pretend. We have to go in that game knowing that our best team is nowhere near good enough to challenge in the Premier League, and it's just horrendous.
Yeah, horrendous is, I think, the perfect way to describe it, bro. I completely agree. Like yourself, I was quite surprised when I saw that starting 11. Anyone who watched the preview would know that me and Joe both predicted there'd be changes. And there wasn't really, in terms of the best available players. You could argue that he actually went with his strongest possible team. Maybe 1 or 2, but even that's debatable. I think it was up there. And to have a bad performance and result after going strong is pretty egregious. We'll get into some of the comments. Make sure you are hitting that like, share, and subscribe as well. Subscribe to the channel. We want to get to 800,000 subscribers. Joshua, welcome to the academy. Thanks for your support. Rune says, Hojlund lost every duel in 97 minutes. Last 30 minutes, he just given up. He needs good coaching. Only an exceptional forward would score in this system. Rasmus Hojlund, in a host of bad players, or in a sea of bad players, he still managed to stand out a little bit for me. Yeah, as being particularly bad.
He looks like a non-league player at the minute.
Yeah,
he's like, you watch FA Cup games against League 2 opposition, and you see a big striker up front who can hold the ball better than him. who can run the channels better than him. And I'm someone that tries to defend him and tries to look on the bright side. But if we're just analysing what we're seeing from him, it's non-existent to the point of being embarrassing. There was a point in the second half where he's had a bad game, he's had a bad season, it's all been bad, and he gets a touch, he's got a striker behind him, takes a touch, takes a couple of steps, takes another touch, takes a couple of steps, and the fucking defender gets there.
Yeah.
And you think, the one thing that no quality can buy, that it doesn't matter if you're the best player in the world or the shittest player in the world, you can at least run. You can at least do things more quickly. It wasn't a technical issue. It was just just loafing about. That, like, it's absolutely. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's the point in being too harsh. But at the minute, it's as bad as I've seen. It's worse than I've ever seen. I don't think I've ever seen a striker for Man United, and I've been lucky to be born in a time where we've not had many bad ones. So he's in a tough crowd here. But at the minute, he's the least effective, least confident, and worst striker I've ever seen at Man United. And I just hope that, despite that, he can get a goal on Wednesday. But what we're seeing right now is, what's the point in him being there?
Yeah.
Like we were talking about it, Harry Maguire was a better striker tonight than Rasmus Hojlund was, and he wasn't playing striker.
Yeah, no, it's sad to see, but you got to be honest, it's not good enough, and I do worry. I worry for Wednesday because the manager, he's watching this, probably think, well, he's the only striker I've got unless Joshua Zirkzee by some miracle is fit, and if I want to play this system with a striker, which is the system that he's sort of stuck with, then I'm going to have to play Rasmus Hojlund because obviously Chido Obe isn't available. Steve Doyle says, Ollie out, Ten Hag out, getting exactly what we deserve. Harsh Bade says, club needs to invest heavily in Premier League proven forwards. Delap and Buemo Cunha add 45 goals to this team and will make a major difference. Bumbill1 says, United need better PEDs. Chelsea ran them off the pitch. Conor O'Reilly says Gallo and Weghorst offered more than Hojlund. Joe C says, never felt this detached from United as now. I can't watch performances that awful. That's our strongest team versus a very bad Chelsea team, and they do that. Also, other people, just a lot of people in the chat, the general chat, just discussing about Amorim. Some people getting angry about Amorim, some people saying he's not good enough, some people defending him. Asim Hans on the Hojlund front says, is Hojlund just demoralised and devoid of any confidence?
Oh yeah, definitely.
He is.
There's no denying that.
Yeah.
He's at absolutely zero confidence. You have to factor that in.
Yeah.
But I'm just talking about what we are actually seeing from him at the moment.
Yeah. Santa Not says, our three best defenders are injured, and the Super Chat says our strongest team, give me strength. I think when you say our strongest team's not, I think they mean a strongest team of players available. I presume that is what we're talking about because
hope so.
It's our strongest team of the players available. Because if everyone's fit, Lisandro Martinez obviously starts.
Yeah.
And Mateus de Ligt obviously starts. And Lenioro starts as well. I think the question is, with the players available, did he pick the strongest team possible that he could have done? And I think he probably did. You might argue that maybe Ugarte's in there, or maybe it's Garnacho over Mount or whatever, but it's not set in stone. Do you know what I mean? No. It's not a weakened team in terms of rotation. How much do you think this will affect Wednesday? Because we keep saying the league's a write-off, the league don't matter, well, not don't matter, but the focus is on Europa. But if you've just lost again in the league, if you've put out a strong team from what's available and you've been beaten, even though it was only 1-0, quite comfortably in terms of the performance and how much jeopardy the result was in, how much does that affect the team going into Wednesday? Or do you think they're just like, well, we've been like this all season, no one gives a toss about the league anymore?
I think mostly the latter. I think mostly it doesn't matter. But I think it might matter a little bit. I do think the fact that it was the full strength team means that there's not really any excuses. They can't have it in the back of their head that was this guy playing or with this guy playing or whatever, that it could have been different. I think it might matter a small amount, but I think in the grand scheme of things it won't really matter too much. I just think it's just another reminder of what we already knew, which is too many players in this team aren't good enough. When we're trying to play out from the back, it is painful, it is embarrassing. You know, you're watching Maguire pass it to Dorgu, who tries to play it down the line, and then Mainu trips over it, or, you know, it goes the other way and it goes out to Mazraoui and he's too slow on the ball, and, you know, Ahmad tries to get it and he flicks it around the corner and Bruno's not there. It's like, and these are, you know, some of these players are all right, but it's just, it's absolutely painful to watch. It's so laborious, it's so laboured and difficult for them all. And I think most of that is, some of it is their quality, but there's a good chunk of it that is the fact that there's nothing to play for in the league. It is hard to get motivated for something when there's nothing to play for. Like, you know, people say, oh, the professionals, they get paid this and that. It's human nature, unfortunately. We can pretend all we want that it doesn't happen. We all watch it happen with every team, every single season. Once the Premier League has been won, Liverpool dropped off. Once the teams that are getting relegated were down, they stopped winning even more. They lost even more. You know, it happens every season. There's a reason why Villa beat Tottenham today. There's a reason why all these things happen the way they do, because it's hard to get motivated when there is nothing to be motivated for. But I do worry that if there's a slight sort of, you know, damage from tonight, it would be the fact that they look around in the dressing room going, that was the best we had tonight, and we were nowhere near it. That's my worry.
No, it is a massive worry. I completely agree and feel your pain. Harsh Bay says Amorim can't continue after losing on Wednesday. There is no coming back after losing a final to 17th place Spurs. The fans will lose confidence. How much do you think this affects Ruben Amorim, this run of results? Because the stats are just, they're all bad. Like the Premier League stats, the stats about Manchester United. It wasn't long ago that Ruben Amorim said that this is the worst United team ever, and he sort of qualified by saying, look at the points tally. But we've won 10 games in the Premier League all season. We've lost 18 now. We've got minus 12 goal difference. We've got 39 points. And yes, he inherited a mess. And yes, Ten Hag left us, what was it, 13th, 14th when Eric Ten Hag was sacked. But also, if I'm being harsh, I'm not trying to be, but if I'm, you know, to put my harsh hat on and say, okay, if you're looking at it from a harsh point of view, we were 4 points, I think, off top four when Eric Ten Hag got sacked. We've lost so many games on Ruben Amorim's watch. We've not won enough games on Ruben Amorim's watch. How much pressure do you think he's under? And we both like him. I'm just saying, if we were to look at the negatives and look at the results, how bad do you think it gets before he's under real pressure?
If we lose to Tottenham, it will be horrific. And I think one of the reasons why people don't think it will be is because deep down, people don't think we're going to lose.
Yeah, I think I'm on that bus.
I think that if you actually, like, we lost to Villarreal under Solskjaer, and I know it was 2 years in and this, that and the other, but it massively affected what people thought about him as a manager. It cemented this idea that he couldn't get it done in big games and he couldn't push us over the line in terms of winning trophies. I think if we lose to a team that's even lower than us in the Premier League, let's not forget, in the Europa League final, and not just is it a team lower than us, it is Tottenham, the ultimate meme you don't win trophies team. Like, they are like they're the only football team in the world that I'm aware of that their name alone is the punchline of a joke. Yeah. It is the meme itself. Spursy is the fucking meme itself. It is the worst possible team to lose to in the final. And obviously, I'm not saying it will hurt more, but in terms of damaging a manager's reputation, losing this would be worse than losing to Liverpool, losing to City, losing to Arsenal, losing to anyone. Because they are literally the ultimate meme of memes. And I think if we lose that game, it will be absolutely horrendous for Amorim. And I think like really, really bad.
I think you're right.
I really do worry for him if we lose that.
I worry. I think that game on the final day of the season against Aston Villa at Old Trafford will be as toxic as it's ever been.
Yeah.
Like, you will have people there just absolutely fuming at Ratcliffe, fuming at the players, fuming at the manager. I think the manager likes probably end up getting less of the grief, but there will be a lot of anger towards him. It'll be horrible. Rightly or wrongly, it will be toxic. And I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos and all these people, the people that go to the game and they're there and they're feeling it or hearing it, that that can end up getting in their minds as like, have we made a mistake here? Do we go into next season with this guy? I think they will go into next season with him, and I think he deserves to go into next season. And I think the noises have been pretty much that even if he loses that game, he's going to be safe, and he should be. He shouldn't be come down. He shouldn't in his first season, if he loses this one game, that's it. It shouldn't be that. He should be given a pre-season and next season to try and fix this mess. I just don't know if he'll get it. I really don't. And there's a lot of people questioning us why we're backing him as well. I'll get into that. Joe C says, can't be shocked if Rooney gets sacked. This is bad. Ice Cold Bowl says, we just knocked City out of the top 5. Laughing emojis. Juan Martinez, everyone says we need a rebuild. Nobody seems to ignore... nobody seems to actually want to go through a rebuild. We have to make a wish. Striker and goalkeeper, injuries galore. Calm down. Mark F, I think you are more worried about starting over than actually believing Amorim's the right man. 5 at the back and holding midfielder is too negative, in my opinion. Amorim should be sacked, says Don Prash. Ross Murphy says Ratcliffe isn't going to pay off another manager so quickly like they did with Ten Hag. They're going to give him the summer. I think he'll get the summer. My worry is if it starts this badly next season, what is he going to do? Jericho says Amorim's points per game of 0.92 is currently lower than Paul Jewell's Derby when they only got 11 points in 07-08.
No, it's not. What's that? What is it? Point what?
I don't know.
0.92?
I don't know what he's going on about here.
Because 0.92 times 38 is a lot higher than 11, isn't it? 0.92 times 38. Was Paul Jewell only there for a few weeks?
Yeah, Paul Jewell came in at the end, but I don't know. I don't think he did.
Yeah,
I don't think he did particularly well. I don't know about that stat.
Jericho
says Paul Jewell had a points per game of 0.94.
What? So he was there for 4 games or something? Was it?
He wasn't there. I can't remember. Paul. I mean,
I'm not saying it's good, but that isn't he didn't win those 11
Paul
points
Jewell
with Derby, did he?
I mean, why are we talking about Paul Jewell?
Because he's better than Amorim.
Honestly, wasn't he like on the front of the papers?
This is like the limit of Amorim's
photograph
abilities.
shagging brass or something.
Do we think this is as good as he is? Like, is that what he can't take us any further than this? 17th or 16th is the best we can ever be under Amorim. Do we think is that actually what's happening? Has he lost the dressing room already? Like, what actually?
That's a question.
Like, what's?
Do you worry about that? Do you think the players aren't listening to him? Do you think that's coming into play?
I actually don't.
Right.
When I watch us play, I don't feel like we've just given up on a system and an idea. I don't feel that. But obviously they can't be happy, can they?
No.
And probably just like us, the Europa League's the only thing they give half a fuck about, which is probably why they play like they do in the Premier League. But I actually didn't think that that Ten Hag had lost the dressing room either. I thought we looked better at the start of this season when he got sacked than we did for most of last season. But I don't know. I just think that you can't lose forever, can you? And if next season starts this badly, as we've said a million times, if you sack a manager 12 games in next season like you did last season, you have ruled out and written off another year.
Yes.
They have to give him another full year, or get rid of him in the summer. But you might just give him another year.
Bumbill1 says, mentality is the only currency here. Amorim might have to sell 15 players this summer. Fitz says we've been reduced to 16th in a second tier final. Can't be asked. Stephen Doyle says, no, but what has he shown to deserve the right to when talking about Ruben Amorim?
Well, he got the right to manage us when he signed a 2-year contract.
Yeah.
That was what he showed.
It is split. Some people saying Michael Foxcroft says no point sacking another manager. Other people just losing faith with Amorim. Scott Farrell says Amorim's game management is dreadful as well. Any other manager and you guys will be going mad.
What other manager? Case. When we were going mad after 6 months of any manager?
Yeah. And Jackson Reynolds.
Why would we have a weird bias towards Amorim
and
not other managers?
No, it's
what reason have we got to like him over these other fictional managers you're talking about?
No, it's not happening. Jackson Reynolds says, entitled fan point of view is the problem. Wisdom of the crowd is a myth in this era. We will never succeed if majority of sentiment is reactionary. On and on. I mean, fans are going to react to defeats, though. Fans are going to react when they're Manchester United fans and they see their club in 16th. And let's have it right, in another season, we'd be getting relegated now with them points. So I think fans have a right to react in a negative way to that. I don't think there's anyone being OTT here if you are questioning the manager or the players or anything when you see results and performances like that. It's human nature, and it's just where we're at the minute. Maybe it's more hope than expectation. I do think Amorim will turn it around, and we'll see, man. Wednesday, it's all about Wednesday. Dwayne Molander says back in, but don't put the club in a hole again. I think we'll leave it there. Oh, sorry. Witterbird says manifest. Arsenal is whatever. Says Rasmus doesn't get a start on any other Prem team. I mean, you're probably right, but we'll see what happens in the summer. We'll see what happens with signings. We'll see what happens next season. More. I keep going back to it, but we'll see what happens on Wednesday. Joe, always a pleasure, even when it's rubbish, never a chore. Go and check out Joe on Sloppy Joe's podcast. Also, as well, we're going to be hearing from Andy Tate later on. I think we're going to be receiving out on the channel as well. So make sure you are hitting like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. We want to get to 800,000 subscribers with your support. We can get there. It's just another defeat for Manchester United. It just keeps getting worse somehow, doesn't it? That's been Joe Smith. I've been Jay Motti. This has been a review of the latest defeat. This one coming at Stamford Bridge. Thanks for watching.